Looking at the gradient graphs of quadratic functions, we're going to start with a positive quadratic, so 2x squared minus 4x minus 3 that we can see here. So what we're going to do is start off with this point here for a, and you'll see at this point here, at the point a, the gradient is negative 10. So in this section here for the parabola, you see that the gradient is negative. Okay, so what's happening to the gradient is it's a negative gradient. It's got a steep gradient up here. As we head towards the turning point, you'll see what happens to the gradient is it becomes less and less steep. So it'll become less and less negative until it gets to the turning point, which is then going to be 0. After this point then, the gradient's going to all become positive. Okay, the gradient at any point in this section here is going to be positive. Therefore, these positive values will have to be shown above the axis. These negative values will have to be shown below the axis. And the point of 0 gradient here at the vertex, at the turning point, is going to be shown on the axis. So I'll just run this so you can see. So again, the red line is the gradient. So we are plotting the gradient. So what's going to happen is it's going to start at negative 10 here, you see, and then the gradient, you see the gradient's becoming less and less negative until it hits 0 at this point here at the vertex. And then as we move from left to right here, you see the gradient's increasing, it's becoming steeper and steeper. So therefore, that's why it shows this straight line, this linear. So when you differentiate a quadratic, a positive quadratic, you're always going to get a positive linear graph. Considering a negative quadratic function now, so the function negative x squared plus 4x minus 1, and we look at how the gradient behaves here. So we're starting off this point here. You see in this section here, we're going to have a positive gradient, therefore it's going to appear above the axis you see here. So this is going to, and what's going to happen here is you'll see what happens to the gradient is as we approach the turning point here, the gradient's going to get smaller and smaller, until at this point here at the vertex when x equals 2, the gradient you see is going to be 0. Therefore, that's why your gradient graph will go through x equals 0. At this point here, you see the gradient is negative, and as we go from left to right, the gradient becomes more and more steep. So that's why it goes down and down.